Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for standing by, and welcome to iQiyi First Quarter 2019 Earnings Conference Call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Today's call will include a question-and-answer session, at which time, if you wish to ask a question, you will need to press star one on your telephone. I must advise you that this conference is being recorded today, Friday, 17th of May, 2019. And I'd like to hand the conference over to your first speaker today, Ms. Dahlia Wei, Investor Relations Director. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you, operator. Hello, everyone, and thank you all for joining iQiyi's First Quarter 2019 Earnings Conference Call. The company's results were released earlier today and are available on the company's investor relations website at ir.iqiyi.com. On the call today are Dr. Yu Gong, our founder, director, and CEO, and Mr. Xiaodong Wang, our CFO. Dr. Gong will give a brief overview of the company's business operations and highlights, followed by Xiaodong, who will go through the financials and guidance. After their prepared remarks, we will hold a Q&A session. Before we proceed, please note that the discussion today will contain forward-looking statements made under the safe harbor provisions of the U.S. Private Securities Litigation Reform Act of 1995. Forward-looking statements are subject to risks and uncertainties that may cause actual results to differ materially from current expectations. Potential risks and uncertainties include, but are not limited to, those outlined in our public filings with the SEC. iQiyi does not undertake any obligation to update any forward-looking statements except as required under applicable law. With that, I will now turn the call over to Dr. Gong. Please go ahead.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our first quarter 2019 earnings call. We achieved another solid quarter of results. Total revenues were RMB 7.0 billion, up 43% year-over-year. Total subscribing members reached 96.8 million as at end of March. This number does not include any sports subscribers and represents a 58% growth from a year ago. We continued to strengthen our platform, attract new users, and increase user stickiness. During the first quarter, average DAU of mobile apps and total user time spent both achieved double-digit growth year-over-year. iQiyi continued to rank number one among online video platforms in China in terms of mobile MAU, mobile DAU, and total time spent according to third-party tracking data of iResearch and QuestMobile. Let me start my review with our membership business. During the first quarter, total revenues for our membership business increased by 64% to RMB 3.4 billion. Total subscribers reached 96.8 million at quarter end, representing a net addition of 9.4 million from last quarter. This was mainly attributable to our premium content and targeted marketing campaigns. In terms of premium content, we released several high-quality original dramas during the quarter, such as The Legend of Haolan, The Golden Eyes, The Legends, all of which quickly drove subscribers' growth. Licensed dramas such as The Story of Minglan, All Is Well, and I Will Never Let You Go also contributed to subscribers' conversion as we granted subscribers early access to watch. In addition, for variety shows such as Idol Producer 2, our self-produced young inspirational variety show, and Wife Romantic Travel Season 2, a licensed reality show, we offer extra episodes, voting privileges, and other value-added services to members, which help further drive subscriber growth. On the marketing side, we took advantage of winter vacation and the Chinese New Year holiday, when many young people returned from big cities to their hometowns. and roll out targeted marketing campaigns to increase user penetration into low-tier cities and older age groups. Moving to our advertising business. During the first quarter, ad revenues remained largely flat compared to a year ago. Looking ahead, we maintain a cautious outlook on advertising due to the soft macroeconomic environment in China and a slower than expected recovery of our in-feed advertising. We believe our premium content and innovative ad solutions will continue to serve as a key driver of future performance for our advertising business. During the first quarter, our highly popular self-produced variety show continued to build upon the solid foundation for our advertising business. For example, Idol Producer 2 came in first among online variety show rankings of Baidu and Weibo. As a result, ad revenues generated from the show reached a historical high for all self-produced variety shows on our platform. At the same time, we are also introducing new innovative ad solutions, such as immersive marketing, which helps convert the show's highly supportive fans into customers of our advertisers. This demonstrates the value we bring to enhancing broad awareness and increasing advertising ROI. As I mentioned on our last earnings call, we are working to improve advertising monetization of our original dramas, in addition to their role in driving subscription growth. During the first quarter, our original dramas, The Legend of Hao Lan, The Golden Eyes, and The Legend, all ranked ahead of industry peers in terms of popularity and traffic, according to third-party statistics from enlightened Chinese name Yunhe. This helped increase ad revenues from our original content to a higher percentage of total ad revenue. During the first quarter, the other business continued to gain momentum, with revenues growing 143% year-over-year. This demonstrates the success we have had in diversifying our revenue streams and in building multiple engines for the company. The growth was broad-based and to a large extent driven by our gaming business, which performed better than expected. Now, our content strategy, quality and innovation form the core of our content production criteria. We remain committed to incorporating Chinese cultural values into our content and pay great attention to detail. Our content library is getting enriched every day as we continually deliver high-quality content covering young fashion, suspense, realistic, and historic themes, among others. Entering Q2, we have released some original content, such as the new Legend of White Snake, a remake of the classic drama based on a well-known Chinese folktale. The Zhuangde, an anti-drug police and detective series, and I Am CCR, a singer-songwriter music reality show. In particular, our original drama series, The Zhuangde, has not only been well received by our users, but also highly acknowledged by government officials, and it becomes the first original series aired during prime time on drama channel of CCTV. Furthermore, it is expected to hit the international market, soon read by HBO, which acquired by the Southeast Asia licensing right of the show. For the rest of the year, Our content pipeline remains very strong, as many of you may have discovered at our iQiyi World Conference last week. In addition to the upcoming slate of high-quality drama serials and variety shows, we are also making efforts to tap into original theatrical movie through iQiyi Original Film Play. For the first time in the industry, we officially announced a standard named the Interactive Video Guide, along with our interactive video platform. The standard and the authoring tools were designed to empower our content partners to produce more interactive drama or variety shows with lower cost and less time. We are constantly enhancing our IP-centered ecosystem. As a leading content distribution platform and IP powerhouse, we have incubated various types of content in the form of literature, like novels, cartoons, and comics, as well as dramas, movies, variety shows, animation, and even online games. This allows us to fully leverage the value of our IP-based production and monetizing them through diversified channels. For example, through Project Yunteng, we released 12 drama and movie titles adapted from literature IP last year, and we expect to adapt roughly about another 80 literature titles into video content this year. Our self-produced variety show, Idol Producer, not only allowed us to expand our business territory to talent agency, but also led to the creation of IP agency products with more than 200 SKUs. Another more recent example is our game business. Our subsidiary, SkyMove, launched a 3D turn-based mobile game, The Cruise, which is based on a famous IP license from DreamWorks Animation's 2013 popular animated feature film, The Cruise. The game has performed exceptionally well since it has launched in February, exceeding our expectations. This is another good showcase of our ability to adapt IP into online games. And lastly, I'd like to finish my discussion with technology. As a technology-based entertainment company, our business development relies on the continual innovation of both technologies and products. Recently, on the 5G front, we began cooperation with various carriers such as China Unicom to explore the commercial applications of 5G technology to internet media. On March 18th, we launched our 8K VR Virtual Experience Center at China Unicom's 5G Innovation Showroom in Beijing. In addition, we launched an innovative service, Qishubo, which integrates CDN technology with 5G mobile edge computing. It leverages ample bandwidth and minimal latency of 5G to effectively ensure high frame rates when watching videos and a greater interactive experience. In the future, our Qishubo service can be used in hotels, airports, high-speed trains, universities, shopping malls, and other locations, which will allow users to enjoy a smoother experience when watching our extensive selection of high-quality video content. As the commercialization of 5G technology rolls out, we will continue to expand our usage scenarios and ensure premium entertainment experience for our users. To sum up, we had a strong start to the year of 2019 with a set of solid results during the first quarter, especially in our membership business. As the subscribers base continues to scale, benefiting from China's growing GDP per capita when exceeded $9,000 in 2018. We believe Chinese online entertainment industry has entered a new growth phase with enormous opportunities for the years to come. We are at the forefront of the right industry at the right time, and will continue to leverage our platform advantage, advance our technology innovation, and attract top talent in order to capture the tremendous growth potential ahead. We remain committed to our vision of becoming technology-based entertainment giant and driving sustainable long-term value for our shareholders. With that, I will pass the call to Xiaodong to go over the financials.
Morning, everyone. Let me go through our financial highlights. For the first quarter of the year 2019, iQiyi total revenue was RMB 7 billion, up 43% year-over-year. The increase was primarily driven by a strong growth of our membership service, thanks to our premium content as well as our various operational initiatives. Membership service revenue was RMB 3.4 billion, up 34% year-over-year. This was driven by the strong growth of number of subscribers, which reached 96.8 million at the end of the first quarter. Online advertising service revenue was RMB 2.1 billion, flat year-over-year due to the macro softness and the slower than expected recovery of our in-feed advertising. Content distribution revenue was RMB 442.6 million, up 66% year-over-year. This increase was driven by a number of premium content titles we distributed. Other revenue was RMB 982.5 million, up 143% year-over-year. The increase was driven by strong performance across various business lines, especially the robust growth of our game business after the acquisition of SkyMoves, which launched several successful games during the first quarter. Moving to the cost of revenue. Our cost of revenue was RMB 7.3 billion, up 50% year-over-year. The increase was primarily driven by the high content cost as well as other cost items. Content cost was RMB 5.3 billion, up 38% year-over-year. Turning to the operating expenses, SG&A expenses were RMB 1.1 billion, up 62% year-over-year, primarily due to the increased share-based compensation expenses and the higher marketing spending on games after consolidation of SkyMoves. Our R&D expenses were RMB 598.1 million, up 54% year-over-year. The increase was primarily due to our continued investment in R&D personnel. Operating loss was RMB 2 billion, compared with the operating loss of RMB 1.1 billion in the same period last year. Operating loss margin was 29% compared to the operating loss margin of 22% in the same period of last year. Total other income was RMB 211.1 billion, compared with the total other income of RMB 666.2 billion during the same period last year. The year-over-year variance was mainly due to the fair value gain we recognized in the first quarter last year, arising from our private company equity investments. Lower foreign exchange gain we recognized in the first quarter of 2019 due to the exchange rate fluctuation, as well as increased interest expenses associated with our financing activities. Loss before income taxes was RMB 1.8 billion, compared with a loss of RMB 396.2 million in the same period last year. Income tax expenses was RMB 7.4 million, compared to the income tax expenses was RMB 0.5 million in the same period in year 2018. Net loss attributable to iQiyi was RMB 1.8 billion, compared with a loss of RMB 395.7 million during the same period of year 2018. Diluted net loss attributable to iQiyi per ADS was RMB 2.52. As of March 31st, 2019, the company had a cash equivalents, restricted cash, and short-term investments of RMB 17.9 billion. In March 2019, we closed the offering of $1.2 billion in aggregate principal amount of convertible senior notes. Turning to the second quarter 2019 guidance, we expect total revenue to be between RMB 6.91 billion to RMB 7.29 billion, representing an increase of 12% to 18% year-over-year. This forecast reflects iQiyi's current preliminary view, subject to change. This concludes our prepared remarks. I will now turn the call to the operator and open the Q&A.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. If you wish to ask a question now, please press star 1 on your telephone and wait for your name to be announced. If you wish to cancel your request, please press the pound or hash key. Please limit to 1 question at a time. If you have follow-up questions, to rejoin. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to ask a question now, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. Your first question comes from the line of Allergy from China Renaissance. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my questions. My first question is regarding your content cost in the first quarter. It was a nice surprise. It's down almost 20% sequentially. So can you talk about your content cost trend? Is this something one-off, or should we expect to see your content cost continue to trend down in the coming quarters? And then also relating to the content, this year is it's quite an important year. There are a lot of anniversaries for our political events. So relating to that, can you just give us an update of the regulation approval? Is there any change that you are seeing? And how should we think about the impact on your revenue and the cost respectively? Thank you.
我用中文回答一下，就是一季度的这个内容下降，不是内容下降，比预期低一些，重要的一个原因是因为有些内容延迟上线。延迟上线的原因是多种方面造成的，有政策审核、政策这个变化的原因，也有我们自己制作原因，导致部分内容延迟。从今年的长期来看，内容的审核政策应该保持一定程度的稳定，并且可能在2季度、3季度，相对严格一些吧，因为涉及到今年庆祝建国70周年。谢谢。
So for your question, the major reason for the content cost coming down in this quarter is primarily due to delay of certain of our content. The delay is related to several reasons. One could be the policy changes and regulatory censorship, but more I think in addition there is something related to the process of our content production. And talking about regulation side, I think overall this year will be relatively stable compared to the level of last year. But entering to Q2 and Q3, as you said, there will be some anniversaries of political events. So Q2 and Q3 will be a little bit stricter than before. Thank you, Ella.
Thank you. Your next question comes from the line of Alicia Yap from Citigroup. Please ask your question.
Thank you. Good morning, Gong Zhong, Xiaodong Zhong, and Dahlia. Thanks for taking my question. I have a question on your second quarter guidance. If the subscription remains solid, it would suggest that the advertising revenue will face quite meaningful year-over-year and sequential decline. Is that the correct assumption? And could you help us understand the dynamics and the shift of the landscape? So what are you seeing now from the ad demand versus 3 months ago in February when you report 4Q result? Was that a change of the advertiser tone to be even more cautious than you are seeing in the beginning of the year? Thank you.
This is Xiaodong. First, yes, you're right. We are more cautious about the advertising revenue in the second quarter. As I explained before, we had expected the increase as recovery could be done in like 2 or 3 weeks last year, but unfortunately, it seems it will take a longer time to get to the normal level. So, which means we will have some challenge on the ad side, and really big challenge on the ad revenue side. But back to the membership service, I think we can still make like say mid-term or long-term positive trend of the membership business. Certainly, as Dr. Gong just introduced, due to some delay of the content, will have some impact on the subscriber business also, as well as the online advertising service. But in general speaking, we still have confidence on the membership service. Thank you.
Thank you. Your next question comes from the line of Binnie Wong from HSBC. Please ask a question.
早上好，龚总、王总跟 Dahlia. I have 2 questions here. One is that in terms of your strong total subscriber growth here, in the past quarter, industry subs growth have been going very good. And now this quarter, it seems that the competitor seems like just paying sub growth. How do you see the competitive landscape going forward? And how do you see that you still have been growing the market share in your total sub? Despite that, probably towards like the end of the year, we'll even have a better, stronger pipeline. But then this quarter, despite not very strong yet, but we still have a very, very good growth in our sub growth. What strategy you think we have been doing much better than our competitor this quarter? And then second is that what is your sense in terms of second half, in terms of advertising growth that you think second half, besides is an easy comp in our advertising revenue, you still see potential better drivers in our company in advertising, or maybe the industry? How do you see has been turning better to give us confidence into the rest of the year? Thank you so much.
一季度确实爱奇艺相比同行业来讲做得更好一些，有多方面的原因造成的，其中最重要的原因是一季度爱奇艺的原创的剧表现非常好，当然也有一个表现非常好的节目，就是Idol Producer 2。这种情况是就是说这个从内容的角度来讲，这种比较强势的情况是可以持续的，包括2季度、3季度、4季度。当然还有一些其他的因素，比如说这个档期的排播的这个情况和剧跟剧之间的是在错开时间上线，就不同的网站之间是错开上线还是同时间上线等等多种因素造成的。所以从我们自己能控制的因素角度来讲，我们相信我们今年会做的会非常好的。当然还有一些其他的因素来影响。
Back to the second question.
Okay. For the subscriber growth, yes, you are correct. We outperformed our peers in terms of subscriber growth in the first quarter. I think that's mostly attributable to a very strong original content we offer in the first quarter, especially some drama series we launched, and also some variety shows we produced originally, such as Idol Producer. They all contributed to the strong growth. And I'm quite confident that this trend will continue into the rest of the year because our pipeline, as you mentioned, is quite strong in the second half. So on the content side, we are quite confident. But secondly, also there is something related to scheduling the content, how to balance the mix of what kind of content to be aired, and also benchmarking to what our peers or other companies are offering on that platform. So it's the overall strategy to scheduling the content launch schedule. But overall, I think we are quite confident, and something I wouldn't elaborate is we also have some operational initiatives and marketing efforts on the sideline.
This is Xiaodong. I will answer your second question. Actually, one of the very important reasons why we see a very weak performance on the ads business is relatively we have a high base last year. So entering into the third quarter and the fourth quarter, there won't be their issue. It's more like, to some extent, more apple-to-apple comparison for the ads year-over-year growth. So I believe you will see that kind of like a deterioration on the year-over-year growth coming to the second half of the year. But however, as I just said, we remain very cautious on the forecast of the entire advertising business in the next few quarters or even next 1 or 2 years because of the relatively weak macro environment. Thank you.
Thank you. Your next question comes from the line of Piyush Mubayi from Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question. I have 2 related questions with advertising. The first is, do you think in the longer term your advertising business and your subscription business can run simultaneously, or do you think a success in the subscription business would mean that the advertising business would be a very different business from the sort of numbers we saw in 2018? The second is, if you could dissect the advertising business between the performance brand advertising as well as the accounts, the major verticals that you're seeing, and how each of those verticals are performing, that would be great. Thanks.
Piyush, can you repeat the second question? We kind of lost you for the second part.
Could you dissect the advertising business performance in the first quarter, what you've seen so far that has led you to a more bearish view on the advertising business in the second quarter, and a general cautious commentary around advertising for the next 1 year? Could you break it down between the different components and drivers of advertising business? Thank you.
现在的主要的业务分成3大部分，第一大部分是会员。从长期来看，从市场情况来看，中国的用户付费的愿望依然保持强劲，但是同时我们也遇到了一些困难，最主要的是部分内容2季度、3季度可能延迟上线。然后第二大的业务是广告业务，广告业务最大的瓶颈跟第一会员的增长同样有一个这个负面的因素是就是这个内容的延迟上线可能会导致品牌广告收入增长受限。然后第二个是因素是就是整个宏观经济的影响导致品牌广告主的预算增长有限。然后这是品牌广告的2个不利因素。从这个信息流效果类的信息流广告角度来讲呢， 去年的3季度、4季度，爱奇艺清理了一些不健康的广告和广告主。1季度的遇到的问题，最主要是全行业的广告库存增加，广告主端的需求不旺盛，导致平均的 CPM 单价下降，这是一个新的一个问题。这个问题可能随着2季度、3季度整个市场的回暖，可能会平均单价会上升，这是我们的一个判断。所以这个就是以上的分析吧。第3个大的因素是其他收入。其他收入对于爱奇艺角度来讲是多方面的，包括游戏收入、衍生品授权收入等等，这是一个长期增长的一个这个收入项。谢谢。
To answer the question, I think we have 3 major revenue pillars for our company. The first one is membership business, which performed quite well in the first quarter, and we continue to see the paying habit is forming for Chinese users, and their willingness to pay is getting better than before. And second revenue source is advertising, as you asked. I think there are 2 factors impacting our revenue, advertising revenue. One is, as we mentioned, there is some content delay in this quarter, and also there will be some further delay probably in Q2 and Q3 as well that will definitely impact our brand advertising. And also another is, as everybody knows, there's some softness in our macro environment. As a result, certain advertising verticals lowered their advertising budget, and that's another impact. And in the advertising business, we also have in-feed advertising, and we did some cleanup starting later half of last year. So that's another drag on the revenue side. And in addition, because on the in-feed ad inventory side, the overall inventory is coming up from all over the industry. But on the other hand, the demand is not so upbeat. As a result, the CPM and levels is on a downward trend. But I believe in the second half, under Q2, Q3, I think the industry will eventually warming up, and the CPM can on a returning trend to a normal level. And I also want to mention the third driver for our business, which is other business. Other business contain a lot of IP derivative revenues, including games and other IP related revenues, which can be potentially a long-term driver for us.
我想多解释一下付费用户新增的一些规律。每个季度新增的付费用户有2个因素导致了最终结果，一方面是季节性的因素，另一方面是内容供给的因素。季节性的因素4个季度来看，3季度是最强劲的一个季度，需求最强劲，然后其次是4季度，然后是1季度，然后是2季度。在全年中2季度的需求是最弱的。那从供给的角度来讲，包括采购、制作，还有一些审核，是多方面的因素，它未必与需求是完全吻合的。对于广告行业，最强劲的季度也是3季度，然后其次是2季度或者是4季度吧，可能不同年差别有些，最弱的是1季度。谢谢。
I also want to add some commentary on our seasonality of our business. For our membership business, I think seasonality-wise, Q3 is the strongest demand from our users, and followed by Q4, Q1, Q2 being the weakest. And also there's another factor, which is supply of content. The content was determined by content procurement, content production, as well as the schedule of regulatory censorship of the content. So that schedule might not perfectly match the seasonality pattern of the user need. And also for our advertising business, there's also a seasonality pattern which is a little bit different than the membership. Typically in Q2 and Q3 is a stronger quarter in the year, and Q4, Q1 probably Q1 is the weakest.
Okay, Pierre, if you want more details about advertising service, we can talk about later during our conference. Thank you.
Thank you. Your next question comes from the line of Ribery Gu, please, from Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
Good morning, management. Thanks for taking my question. I have a follow-up question on the subscription growth. As the subscriber has already reached around 100 million level, I just want to understand the next step for a growing strategy for our subscription. I understand that our major focus will still be the content, but at the same time, will the management also focus on like upgrades for the subscription model, or anything like the further cooperation like we did with JD before? Thanks.
会员新增的增长最大的动力还是独播的头部内容。那么现在版权采购的内容绝大部分不是独播的，所以独播的头部内容更多的依赖于原创内容，主要是剧，其次是少量的综艺节目或者是电影等等，这个比例是非常低的，主要是原创的那个连续剧。其他的一些手段，包括跟京东或者其他金融机构的合作，还有一些 promotion 的一些活动等等，有利于会员新增，但是影响的效果不大。
Yes, you are correct that the exclusive content is the most important driver in our subscription growth, especially the original high quality content, because the licensed content, most of that is not exclusive. So the exclusive content really mainly comes from our original pipelines, especially drama series and to a less extent variety shows and movies, but mostly drama series. And in addition, yes, we have some operational initiatives like a joint membership with certain partners like JD and some other internet services, and we also do some targeted marketing and promotion. But compared to content, those are not so meaningful drivers.
我再多解释一下，爱奇艺的商业模式跟 Netflix 的商业模式不一样。爱奇艺它分免费的用户和付费会员，平均一个付费会员现在一年在爱奇艺的付费月的数量是大概8个月，那在3年前是4个月，所以我们现在更多的努力方向是用好的内容，还有其他的一些营销手段，让付费会员每年在爱奇艺上付费的月份更多，这样也会导致每次我们公布的季度底的时候付费会员的数量增加。
I also want to add that compared to Netflix, our model is a bit different because we have both free users and paying users. And now our effort is mainly focused on convert those free users into paying users. And now on an average basis, our paying users pay approximately 8 months during a certain 12-month period. And compared to several years ago, that number is only 4 months. So we will continue to offer more and more high quality content to drive those users to become paying users and pay a longer period of time. So as a result, at each time we reported the quarter end number, that number will continue to grow. Thank you.
Thank you. Your next question comes from the line of Karen Chen from Jefferies. Please go ahead.
谢谢龚总、小东总 and Dahlia. My first question is related to the paying subscribers. So given some of the schedule delay in our dramas, how should we think about the full year paying subscriber target? And secondly, on content cost, can you provide us a rough breakdown between licensed and self-produced content this quarter? And how should we think about a full year content cost budget, and any more color on how licensed content procurement cost has been trending in the industry? That would be great. Thank you very much.
第一个问题我来回答一下，我们的目标没变，继续维持原来的目标，新增用户的增长。第二个问题小东吧。
The first question, yes, our target does not change. We still remain the net addition target with that earlier in the year.
I think we discussed before about the percentage or mix of content cost mix between original content versus licensed content. I think the percentage will remain about the same because you won't change that number like in 1 or 2 quarters. As I said before, it will be a long-term target. So basically, it's still between 10 to 20%. And if you're talking about, like, say, from maybe perspective or time spent perspective, I can tell you the number is a little bit bigger than that kind of percentage. Thank you.
Thank you. Your next question comes from the line of Tianhe from TH Capital. Please ask your question.
Yeah, thank you for taking my question. So last earnings calls, I remember you guys give the guidance for the paying members for the full years. I wonder if there's a new guidance for the paying members on the full year basis. The second one is regarding the content cost. So what's the trend of the content cost for the full year? That's the second question.
有全年的新增付费用户目标没有变，可能实现难度会大一些，但是目标还是没有变。
Our full year guidance for the membership growth doesn't change. Maybe because of the content delay I just mentioned earlier, this target become challenging, but we would like to maintain this target for the full year growth.
Yeah, as I said before, this year content cost, our target is to keep between 70% and 80% of revenue. I think the target remains the same.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Thank you. Your next question comes from the line of Yan Xiao from CITIC Securities. Please ask the question.
Hello, thank you. My question is about recently drama 破冰行动. So can you share us more details about this drama and the performing numbers right now or the projection numbers, and also how does the numbers compare to previously hit show like the 名义 like 延禧攻略, and how does this drama will influence your second quarter results? Thank you.
谢谢。这个片子非常好看，我自己一直在追着看。因为现在播到不到一半，它总共48集，现在播到了20集。从现在已经播出的流量来看，我们也因为有 AI 系统在预估嘛，我们现在预估的结果要比人民的名义好，当然那个要比延禧攻略弱。延禧攻略太好了，因为延禧攻略是有网络视频以来表现最好的剧。谢谢。
Yes, The Thunder is a very good show and a very good quality drama series. It's a 48 episode long series, and now it's in 20 episodes now. I think according to our AI system, we have a forecast system that we forecast that this show's airing and viewership behavior numbers will be better than In the Name of the People. But compared to the Legend of Yanxi Palace, might not be that level because that's the most important show and best performing show in the history of the video platform.
Yeah, if you're talking about the impact on the revenue side, I can tell you actually, as I explained before, no single drama titles will have like the material impact on the revenue side because for most of the drama series, if it's original content, it tends to have more impact on the long run because most of the revenue contribution from the membership service, which will not have like significant difference within a quarter. Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to ask a question now, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. Your next question comes from the line of Eleanor Leung from CLSA. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for taking my question. Can you talk a little bit more regarding the content regulation? What type of content has to be delayed? And also, how long will be delayed? Is there any risk that we have to write off this content in the future? And have we changed our content strategy in order to cope with the new regulatory environment?
Okay, this is Xiaodong. Actually, we talked about regulation before. As I explained to you guys, and actually there's very, very seldom case which were actually like say kill or content or titles. Most of the time it's simply delayed because of longer processing time. We need longer time to get approval from authority. So basically, I don't think there will be any risk on the like the financial side which requires write off certain content from bulk. So basically, it will take us longer time and more efforts to get approval. Less, I think, it's not regarding to a certain category of the content which like was forbidden or whatever, restricted from the authority. It's more like a more thorough censor process. Thank you.
Thank you. Your next question comes from the line of James Lee from Mizuho Securities. Please ask your question.
Thanks for taking my questions. And maybe one more clarification on the regulatory side. Is your assumption to launch? Are you planning, based on your assumption, are you planning to launch any new drama series in 2Q and 3Q? Just curious what you're thinking there, given the line of sight you can see on the regulatory side. And on the same front, are you expecting to add any subscribers in 2Q and 3Q? And is it fair to assume if you launch fewer content out there, we will also see the churn rate go up as well? Thanks.
I think in the short term, probably like say 1 quarter or several months, you will see some impact on the releasing the content we produced or we purchased. But generally speaking, so we do believe if we would do the job right, so gradually you will see less and less impact in the long run. Maybe probably third quarter, fourth quarter, there will be some impact as we expand, but we don't see like the significant impact on the business side. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last question comes from the line of Wendy Huang from Macquarie. Please ask your question.
Thank you. 我会先中文问一下，就是第一个还是关于就是那个内容，就前面其实有分析人已经问到了，就是我想知道，如果说你们之前已经采购的那些那个电视剧，它如果最终
没有被播出的话，从财务处理上你是不是要 write off？ 因为你现在的一个 assumption 说它只是一个 delay 的这个播出。然后另外就是说，你现在现在今年的那个采购计划，也就是说为明年2020年储备的这个内容，现在今年定的这样一个采购计划是大概多少亿，或者是增长多少？那第三个还是和内容相关的，就是说现在你们有多少个就是内部的这个工作室？因为其实我们市场上也知道，就是说其实《延禧攻略》它并不是由你内部的工作室制作的，严格意义上自制剧它其实是于正团队那个制作的，但长期如果你要提高这个自制剧的能力，其实还是要靠你的内部工作室，所以这方面的策略是什么？有没有计划去这个收购一些就是好的一些市场上的一些工作室？I will just briefly translate. First is a follow-up on the accounting treatment on those delayed TV drama. If those TV drama never get broadcasted in the end, how will actually deal with it from the accounting perspective where you need to actually write it off? And also, what's your content procurement plan this year? I.e., how should we actually expect the content cost increase in 2020? Lastly, what's your plan to actually beef up your in-house production capability? How many number of the in-house studios do you have? Do you have any plan to acquire any good studios from market? Thank you.
This is Xiaodong. I will answer your first two questions and let Dr. Gong comment on the third one. And so first, just explain, it never happened before, and we still thought it will happen in the near future, like certain content cannot be get approval and released forever or something like that. It never happened before, and we do believe it would not happen in the near future. And even that, hypothetically, we assume like something happened, something bad happened. Most of the content are licensed content in our book. So for licensed content, if it cannot go through the approval process, we do not need to pay for it. So basically, there's nothing like write-off. So for original content, it only comes for a very small percentage of the total content cost for now. And even that, I seriously think that will be like any big impact on the book, because for most of the original content, it's more like you understand the guidance before you launch a program. For original content, the risk will even less than licensed content, because we choose wisely what kind of type of content we should produce, and we communicate with authority upfront. That's how it works, basically. And I will pass to Dr. Gong to answer your third question.
关于工作室的问题，爱奇艺的原创内容大概有两种类型的工作室制作的，一部分类型的工作室就是爱奇艺的工作室的人员真正的自己做的。包括签演员、导演是自己人，然后那个服装、化妆、道具都是 outsource 出去的。比如说综艺节目的工作室是这样的，像 Idol Producer 或者是The Rap of China 等等，这些都是爱奇艺自己的人制作的。然后剧中的以前的工作，就是以前建立的工作室，都是把这个任务确定了剧本，确定了主要演员以后，都是 outsource 给外面的制作公司去制作的。从去年成立的一些新的工作室，就像外面的制作公司一样，他们也有独立的制作能力，他们的作品将会在今年下半年开始上线。谢谢。
We have two types of original content. The first one is internal studios, which those content comes from the in-house. We are finding directors and actors, actresses ourselves, and also certain elements to the external production teams. This is mostly applied to our variety show category, like Idol Producer and those variety shows. And for drama series, some earlier studios, the pattern is they pick the script play and establish the project, then they outsource the production process to external partners. But some newly established new studios, they have their own production capability, and they will be producing on their own original content. And those content will gradually come up in later half of this year.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the time we have for questions today. I'll now hand the conference back to today's presenters for the closing remarks. Please continue.
Thank you all for participating in today's call. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to contact us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude our conference for today. Thank you for participating. You may all disconnect.